What's up, and welcome to Nighttime at the Nerd Bar, episode 99!
We are so close, you guys.
Yes!
Next week. Next week.
Yes! We are super excited to be here with all of you. If you're watching live, join us in the live chat. If you're watching later, awesome. Comment down below. Let's get into some intros. Hello, I am Carrie Lane.
And I'm Katie Cullen.
And I was going to say with this angle, there we go. I'm wearing, not sponsored, but this is my shout out to a friend of Hero Within. This is my Doctor Who hoodie that's in like the subtle for our Lady Doctor, which I'm like, yes.
13,
and then,
yeah.
Yep. And then there we go. Yeah.
Yeah.
Got our nice.
And I'm going full nostalgia for the Digimon fans in the crowd.
Yes.
Of course we go, Crest of Knowledge. Who do you think I am?
And
Yes.
we bring you that Monday energy and Monday brain processing power at times, but
Yep.
you know what? We're here. It's the best we can do.
We're doing everything we can. We're
Yeah.
here. We're glad you're here. Hello, you lovely humans. Let's get
Yeah.
this party started.
We will be talking about solo leveling, Delicious in Dungeon, other recommendations of stuff you should check out, and more. So stick around for all of that. So kicking off, something we are excited about.
We have some fantastic news from Crunchyroll. Crunchyroll scores 7 Annie Award nominations for Makoto Shinkai's critically acclaimed animated masterpiece, Suzume. So, for those of you who have not seen Suzume yet, please do so. It's on Crunchyroll. I think you can still get, like, is it a 10-day free trial? Is it a 30-day free trial? I know there is a free trial for Crunchyroll that you can do the thing. Highly recommended. The celebrated animated film has grossed over $300 million at the global box office and is currently streaming on Crunchyroll and is nominated across 7 categories in the Annies. And those categories are Best Feature, Best FX for a feature, Best Character Animation for a feature, Best Music in a feature, Best Storyboarding in a feature, Best Writing in a feature, and Best Voice Acting in a feature, specifically for Hokuto Matsumura, who voiced Soda. So, yes, the Annie Awards are so good. The Annie Awards are on February 17th, so they are coming up soon. Keep an eye out for those. And yeah, if you have not seen Suzume yet, go watch Suzume. Like, it's a Makoto Shinkai feature. You will cry, but it's amazing. And both the sub and the dub are phenomenal.
Yes. Looking over in the live chat, John Knight points out, don't forget, Suzume will release on Blu-ray on March 12th. Thank you.
They're waiting to say if they can put Annie Award winner on the branding on the Blu-ray.
Yeah.
I would not be surprised if that's the case, and honestly, can't blame them. I'd do it.
We got Giga Derek in the chat says hi, because they also said crest of reliability all day.
That's fair. That's fair.
We got Kelly Moore says I'm here.
Hello,
and
Heck.
I'm drawing. Awesome, yay! And I got the crest of curse tattooed on me. What?
Yo.
Cool. Yes.
All right, Digimon people, assign yourself a crest in the chat. You gotta.
And tag us. We got NTATMB on Twitter. I want to see a picture of this tattoo, please, if you don't mind sharing. And if it's somewhere you can share. I would think so if you got something that, like want people to know. So yeah, please tag us on Twitter and we would love to share that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And then so we'll get right into it. Solo. We're doing the shot and then the chaser.
So if you're watching one show but not the other, please keep an eye on the lower third, mute for the show you're not watching, and then tune back in for the other one so you can stay spoiler free. I do recommend catching up on both shows, but also I understand if there is like a level of violence and intensity that you don't want in your life. There are some shows I can't handle for that exact same reason. Also, for both shows, for Solo Leveling and Delicious in Dungeon, we have not read the manhwa, we have not read the manga, we are not reading ahead for either show. So please keep the chat and the comment section manga and manhwa spoiler free. Please and thank you. So many people are dead. Oh my god.
Gigadare goes, one hell of a shot this week.
Oh my god. It's one of those ones where it's using like habanero tequila and they set it on fire before you shoot it. Like it's one of those shots.
And it's one of those, like, you and I knew we talked about last week via the press release, or we had friends who went to the event. So I saw pictures and we kind of know where things were going, but
Yeah.
it still was like I didn't know how we would get there.
I mean, also,
Ooh.
even if you go into Crunchyroll, it's in the summary of the show.
Yeah.
Like, we knew that he was going to die.
Yeah.
It's right there. That's the premise. And I just want to dig into the mechanics of this dungeon because I have a
Oh, hold on.
theory that I'm
One quick
oh,
thing. Giga Derek said say I had that shot before.
oof.
But yes, the
Yikes.
mechanics of the dungeon. Continue, please.
I have a theory, and I'm not sure if the show will ever confirm it. I don't know if it
Okay.
can be confirmed, but what we're looking at for this particular sub dungeon is that there are a lot of video games where they have what is called a scripted fight. It is a fight that
Mm-hmm.
you, as the player, are meant to lose, or once you hit a certain point, it has to go a certain way. It goes into a cutscene. Point being, there's only so much control you, the player, have in the fight because it's supposed to go a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it is a run up against a boss that is way too powerful for you to take care of, and you're not supposed to be able to win. Sometimes it's puzzle mechanics because you're not strong enough to fight something. Like there's unskippable, exactly. Yeah, the Kingdom Hearts 1 fans in the audience going, yeah, no, unskippable cutscenes before boss fights, we've been there. But that's kind of what I'm looking at for this. Like, the theory is not entirely there. There's an idea of overlaying game mechanics onto a world that actually exists, and that I wasn't, the Digimon shirt was not planned for this episode, but like, yo. Uh, talk about doing something in a game and it affects living creatures.
Right.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
the idea that maybe this does run on video game mechanics, maybe that's what this is supposed to be, because you have a dungeon that is meant for lower level players, lower level heroes, as it were, our B's and C's, our C's and D's rather, and our solo E strength hero. Bro, bro, this was supposed to be a dungeon they could handle. And then there's this Final Fantasy style mega boss hiding in the corner. And you can see those doors and go, what if we don't do this? What if we level up and come back for the boss? What if we send in a stronger party? Like,
Mm.
that is also always an option when you have a locked mini boss somewhere.
Okay.
I'm going to talk about Super Mario RPG in the Rex in a while. And that's, it's a chill little RPG, and then it's got a Final Fantasy mega boss hidden somewhere. So that's what this looks like to me.
Okay.
And then called it last week. The show was not really hiding the mechanics, that there's no way to fight this thing, that we had an assessment that it's an A tier or an S tier boss that's hidden again in a D tier dungeon. And it gave the rules. It gave worship. Yeah, it was essentially respect. It wasn't respect, but you know what I mean.
Revere.
Revere.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, revere, worship, and prove
Praise.
your faith.
Oh no, it's
Yeah,
praise.
praise. You're right. Yeah, I'm really working with the synonyms today. Yeah, it was
Close enough.
revere, praise, prove your faith,
Yes.
and of course, it was our main character going, "Oh, it's this. Oh, it's this." Again, talking about this last week, where he's had to use his wits to survive. He's had to use his observational skills. He's had to use timing. And at the end of all of this, he is the only one still on the altar when the timer runs out. My theory here, because the hidden quest, as they call it, that pops up is called Courage of the Weak. My theory is that had everyone else stuck around, had we had all 6 people at the altar when the timer ran out, that they would all unlock this because they are all B, C, D, E tier players in this game and facing off against something that they had absolutely no hope of beating. So that is my theory, is that if they had stuck it out, they would have also unlocked this subquest, as it were. And the fact that you're qualified to be a player, this puts you on this. Do you accept? Also, your heart's going to stop if you don't. So you probably should. Like, all right, put him over a barrel.
So do you think a higher level player, if they happen to have been with this group, as long as they all stayed, would have still gotten that bonus?
I think that a higher level player either would have been able to take on God,
Mm,
as it were,
mhm,
or would have gotten killed trying.
mhm.
So I don't know. It's entirely possible that if there'd been an A tier player with them, that the door wouldn't even have appeared, that they wouldn't
Okay.
have been eligible. Because
Sure.
again, there is a question of, okay, we're overlaying this fantasy thing on this real world, and me stepping back and going, you can be a player, here's a subquest, it's a screen. Is this game mechanics? Are we actually inside of a game here and there is someone else programming or someone else playing? Like, who is God in this scenario? So, take it back quite a few steps. Why did this happen? Why is there now these dungeons, this fantasy element on what was otherwise this very boring world? Like, who who's on the other side of this fourth wall,
Yeah.
as it were? Who is a level up playing this game or orchestrating this game? Like, who is in charge of this noise? So
Well,
it's
based
possible
on
we'll get some
the
answers. It's possible we'll never get answers. I'm just sitting here going, give me your secrets, solo leveling.
I would say based on that closing theme song, there is like observation things. There's observation
Yeah.
rooms, and there were TV screens, and somebody from the back we saw watching these screens. That maybe this is a way to filter out and find certain people for a different kind of quest. Uh, it's I'm a little spoiler, but not spoilers. Giving a little bit of Alice in Borderland vibes, if anybody's watched that too, which is amazing. It's over on Netflix. That's one of those live action ones that are so good. I haven't seen the second season yet, but first season was solid. So I'm curious on
Honestly,
that. Hmm.
and for me, this is also spoilers for a completely different series. But if you've seen Scrapped Princess, I'm wondering if we're not in that flavor of scenario here.
Okay.
So,
I don't think
for
I
those
have
who've
heard that.
seen an anime that's, God, 20 years old at this point, I don't know when Scrap
Like
Princess dropped. I
Scrap
watched it in high school.
Princess.
It's been a minute.
Yeah.
I cannot, I remember the twist is the thing. I can't vouch for the quality because, again, I watched it in high school. Things have changed a lot since the last time I put that in my eyeballs. And then someone put the full DVD set up on my Buy Nothing group, and I wasn't fast enough to get it. I was like, no. But yeah, no, it's
Looking at the pictures of people, I was like,
yeah. Oh,
kind
it's
of,
Scrap
yeah.
Princess is very pretty. It's
Yes.
from what I remember,
Don't know
it's a
that one
fun
though.
show. Yeah.
It looks like it might be on Crunchyroll.
Is it?
Well, one of these I clicked and it said Crunchyroll, so
Put that back in my eyeballs for the first time in
maybe.
20 years.
Yes. Oh, and recircling back to the beginning of our show, it's a 14-day free trial for Crunchyroll.
Thank you.
Because I just pulled up there is the Scrapped Princess and 14-day free trial. Now I'm kind of curious to watch this and then see. We'll be like, let's compare notes on it.
Watch this and we could talk about it in the recommended and put up the spoiler thing and be
Be
like,
like,
see?
guys.
See?
Giga
But
Derek
yeah,
says, "Oh, I remember and definitely recommend." Nice.
fair
Okay.
enough.
Very
So you
cool.
know what I mean when I say this might be a
Okay.
Scrap Princess scenario.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
I
what
don't
I'm
know yet,
wondering for
but
this.
I'll
That
circle
yeah, an
back.
element of observation, an element of someone
Yes,
with a
there's
higher power,
something
someone who has
watchable.
influence
Yeah.
doing the dance puppets dance that like
Mhm.
yeah, this is how I know I'm going to be neck deep and sinking in this show because we're 2 episodes in and I'm like, "Great. I love the characters. I love what we're doing here. Tell me about the world building.
Well,
Tell
which
me your
we've
secrets."
noticed on other anime, they tell you a lot in the intros and outros. So I was like, what are you telling us with the
Yeah.
outro? So I'm all maybe it's kind of hints that they're just out of context. So you're like, I don't know. Uh,
Well, and the intro monologue that we got for this episode was very similar to the first episode,
yeah.
but then it gave us but sometimes in the in the bowels of some dungeons things may change. Like
Hmm.
this is a life changer, and I do think that if our last 6 survivors had stuck around.
I think they would have all
Yeah.
benefited. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's hard because it really is a flight or fight response
Mhm.
of I get it. I get why they're like, I'm gonna try to make a run for it. But then I wondered, you don't know just because you get out those doors, something's not waiting on the other side.
They
I'm
did
like,
clear the dungeon before this.
but I just figured with the space we were in had an extra level of like it
That's
looks
fair.
like it's open, but you like, I don't know, walk through like invisible wire or something like that. I don't know, something.
I
Watch
think
enough
our
horror movies. I'm like, I don't trust it.
I think our guarantee, and I need to start writing down the names on, like, I need to have a post-it note or a reference document because my brain is just slipping on all of the names.
I think
I think Park was our leader.
we
Mr.
only had
Park,
4 survive, including our
six.
dude.
Six, but two of them were like, you're here too.
Okay,
They
I
were
was like,
fully
who?
NPC status.
Got it. Yeah, yeah.
But I think our guarantee that those who walked out survived is the fact that his friend, the B tier healer, was able to leave. And I'm like, no, she's
And
in
she,
the
yeah,
title, she's in the
yeah,
splash page,
that's true.
she's gonna live.
Yeah,
Like, she's gonna be around for a hot minute
yeah.
because she's one of the only people who is 100% fully in his corner.
Do you think he died before the timer ran out? Because like the way it's shot is the something. I mean, he would have died of his injuries anyway.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I'm
but
amazed he
as
lived as long as he did
yeah,
at the end
there's
right
one of
there.
those. I'm like,
Like, full blood fountain territory.
as
Man.
like the weapons coming down, the timer goes out, but we don't see the connect. So I want to say it didn't connect, and then like the timer ran out and he survived. But like
Yeah.
all other injuries, I'm like, oh, that dude's dead. Like that blood loss, he's give him 5 minutes, you know,
Yeah. I'd not even 5 minutes.
or
You can
less.
bleed out from something like that in like 60 seconds. Yeah,
Yeah,
maybe not 60 seconds, but like,
I was surprised he
yeah,
was alive as long as he was
he
too, with
was
how much blood was happening. It's like
he
interesting,
was bleeding from
though.
everywhere.
I forget if it was in real life or in a movie or something, or somebody was an EMT and they're saying like a pint of blood, which you used to donate, like if you drop that on the ground, is a lot too.
Hmm.
Like just what that looks like, and we're able to do that, and you have about 8-ish pints in your
Yeah.
body. So, uh, but yeah,
Blood
I
fountain. Just blood fountain. Uh I
uh,
think I think he was functionally dead. Like, I don't
okay,
think he actually died. I
okay,
think it was the timer ran out,
yes,
0.2 seconds before his life ran out.
yes,
And
yeah,
it
I'll
was
go
the
with that.
program reaching in and going, "Oh, hey, you qualified. I mean, if you don't
Which,
say yes, we're just gonna leave you here and you're gonna die. But like,
yeah,
if you pick this program, it'll be good." So,
there you go.
I,
That's the verification. The thing that made him say he succeeded said he was still alive to accept.
yeah,
But
your
yeah,
heart
I
will
agree.
stop in 0.2 seconds. But
Man, hard
functionally, my
decision.
dude died. Like,
Okay.
functionally, he
Yeah.
died. In terms of, is he gonna make it out of this situation? Absolutely not. Not on his own power.
No.
Not without, the shonen protagonist clicking in.
Yeah. I like how they do the gore and are really giving us this what the stakes are right away of like, oh shit. And everybody else and the panic and fear, and thus why it is so serious and why it is so such a juxtaposition for what they thought it would be of like, just kidding,
Yeah.
this no. Uh which I mean we talked about that a little bit last week, but it just kind of was nice to reinforce that on this one because you're like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh.
It's like, oh, they're not
Yeah,
kidding. That okay.
yeah.
I think the one that
I like
stuck with me,
yeah, go
because a
ahead.
couple people got stepped on this episode, but the one
Yeah.
that stuck with me was the girl who was just panicking. Just the fact that the animation, instead of like the quick up down of the foot, because other people got smushed and you just see the foot come down. This one, you see the point of impact where the foot hits her head, and there's an extra like
You see it move
fraction
for
of
a
a
second.
second.
Yes, that was
It the storyboarding and the animation on that, like, whoever made that decision, extremely well done.
yeah.
Oh my god. Not the most visceral one we got, but the one that stuck with me.
I was gonna say it was the guy who's like, I'm gonna make a run for it and zaps.
I laughed. I laughed. He's gonna make red for it, and there's his feet. That's
You're like,
all that's left.
okay. Yeah.
Buddy.
Uh
Sure, Jan, you're different from everyone else.
I feel this is on that if anybody remembers that show, A Thousand Ways, yeah, A Thousand Ways to Die, of okay, so we know somebody's gonna die, but how what are you gonna do this time?
Yeah.
It's like what's gonna be the gnarly thing? So yeah, what we're yeah. Oh
Died in a flash. Oh, that's like 3 layers of pun. I appreciate you.
Woo!
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
We like
yeah.
puns here if you're new.
Oh my god.
Wow, yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah. So and of course things start breaking down, people start
Yeah,
blaming each
of
other.
course.
I
Panic.
can't really blame people
Oh, the
for
slice,
having a
that one was gnarly too.
no, it was just like, oh, hey, we met this guy coming in. Oh, yeah, I just want to fundraise a little because I got another kid on the way and now I'm here. And I'm like, and didn't you vote to come here?
Mhm.
Didn't you vote to keep going?
Yep.
Wasn't this like, y'all? Again, you can always choose to turn away from the door. You can always choose not to
Couldn't
go into the
they
door.
Yeah, couldn't they have had it where not everybody had to agree to go?
I mean, I don't know what the contract is. I don't know what,
Yeah, because I
but
kinda wonder, like, could you have had
just
that like,
like,
let's say you're a group of 10 and 9 people wanna go in and you're like, "No." Could you
yeah,
leave and not
I
go
would
in?
hope so.
I would hope so too because
Yeah.
and I don't know if there's any rule within the world that, like, once you've said, like, "Yeah, sure, you physically can't exit the space," or something, because there were enough people in there that if they really were that unsure about going in, why didn't they go be like, "Peace," and, like, just leave
Yeah. And then
before the door
also
shut, obviously.
when we're on step 2 of the when we're at worship or praise,
Yeah.
there were only so many statues and they would not activate if they had 2 people in front of them. At what
Yeah.
point does this be like we didn't get to see the full rota of statues. We don't know how many
Mhm.
instrument ones there were, but like at what point does this become a game of murder musical chairs?
Well, because they had enough per how many it was,
At the time.
at the time. Yeah, if they didn't have it,
At the
because yeah,
time,
that's
6 people were alive. There were a
that's the
lot
other
more
part.
than that ro
If 2 people go in, does it still activate? Because then it's impossible to even try. Because
I
that's a
don't
different
think they
kind of
had to
impossible.
activate all of the statues. I think they just all
Uh,
had to activate a statue,
yeah.
you know? I think that
Oh,
you
maybe if
had
they went
to
to one and then went to another one and went to another one, maybe, yeah. They would still have to
oh,
maybe,
oh,
like
no, I'm just thinking if only 2 people came in,
yeah.
and then you only needed to activate 2 statues at that point. It's
I
like
see what you mean.
you as an individual
As long
need
as
to
you get
complete
2.
all 3 tenets on the tablet.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Then I wonder if it would have mattered. Good question.
I
This is back
mean,
to the world building. We're like, "So specifics, tell me more."
it's like, okay, we had 6 statues. If all 12 people had survived up to that point, would 2 to a statue have been okay since they're all
Yeah.
trying to do the thing? Like,
Yeah.
who knows? But it sure was convenient that we had 6 current survivors and 6 statues. Yeah,
I also
so
super we kinda said it, I guess, in the way you were saying the Final Fantasy villain, but damn, that smile on it was like, "Ooh, that
that
changed the look."
rictus murder oh, yeah,
Ooh,
and just realizing like, "Oh, these are the wrong words of praise for this god. This is not a happy god." I'm like,
that was
"No, that is some Attack on Titan shit is what that is."
yes, also the stepping on people.
Well, yeah. Yep.
Squish.
Yep.
But
Man.
those people, you're like, "Well, at least it was quick." Uh,
Yeah, just
yeah.
if there's a way to go in this dungeon, it's either getting nuked from orbit so only your feet are left or just getting immediately squished, like
Yeah.
and I honestly, I feel for I feel for our main healer girl, just in terms of, oh yeah, she takes lower level stuff because she can't handle the pressure, and I'm like, fair! Honestly, fair! I
She's
would
like,
not be
"No."
handling this noise well. Anyone rolls up to me and they're like, "Oh yeah, you're a D level healer," and I'm like, "Cool, great. I'll be waiting at the door.
Yeah. Giga Derek said
Y'all
same
can
shit.
limp back
Gods and
here if you need
anime.
healing."
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, shitty gods is one of my favorite tropes in stories. Love
Yes.
it in anime, love it in Ranking of Kings, love it
Yep,
in
I was actually talking
Ruby.
about that.
We have
Mhm.
fun.
Yeah.
I love it when part of the world building is just the gods suck. Like they really do. It's very fun. It's very fun. I do also appreciate that we got to see more of the family because we had in episode
Oh,
1 the
yes.
I need to get money for
Mhm.
my sister to go to college. I need to pay for mom's treatments. I love
Mhm.
that we did get to see a little more of the sister and her classmate who is talking some mad shit for
Mhm.
someone who's not actually doing things in
Yeah.
dungeons
Mhm.
and her mom, who whatever treatment she's on, for one, she's been on it for a while, if the sunken face has
Yes.
anything to say. And
Yes.
for another, her treatment includes one of the crystals that they're finding in the monsters.
That
So
kinda energy
that
level, yep.
can't be cheap.
Mhm. Giga Derek said, "How many people died in that room? In this room?" I'd be curious too. Before then, like, has this ever opened? Are these the
13
first
went
people?
in.
And we think about
13
6
went
left
in. 6, technically 6
ish.
lived. Technically our protagonist
5 people
lived.
exited at this point,
5 people exited. Yes, and then there's this guy.
and then there was 1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, I fully think, and maybe they answer this later on in the manhwa. I don't know. And again, please no spoilers, but I really do think that if everyone had stuck around, they all would have been eligible for the side quest for
Mhm.
Courage of the Weak. But
Yeah.
instead, it's the literal weakest of them all. So it's like, so now it's also narratively fitting.
Then I'm curious up next of how much will he tell people about it? Can he tell people about it? It's better to keep it secret. They're gonna find out because nobody else levels up. So I'm just kind of curious how that next
Yeah.
bit's gonna play out.
People are going to notice. The government's going to notice because the
Yeah, gonna be
government
like,
keeps track of all this stuff. And he is known to be the weak. Like his reputation is if he shows up for a dungeon, it's going to be a
yeah,
cakewalk
easy. Yep.
for everyone but him.
Yep.
The other thing is, once he goes out, this dungeon's going to collapse
Mm-hmm.
because you
Ooh,
beat the
I like.
dungeon boss, it closes. So no one else will be able to access this quest.
Yes. I liked thanks for bringing it up because I was like, yeah, that was another part of world building that was good to know that there's a time limit that maybe we got in the first but didn't really sink in as much. One, you have to clear it by a certain time, otherwise the monsters get out into the world. With the intro, I feel we're going to be seeing some monsters out in the world more too, and you have so long to clear it, and then it's closed, and there's no problem. So it's like, oh, okay, that's an interesting like what you got to do.
Yeah, I mean, that was our cold open was Ant Island, where presumably the
Yeah,
monsters were out in the world because they were going through a city and whatnot. But that
yeah.
was also 3 years prior, so I was wondering if either that was a dungeon that people missed for those 7 days, or
Mm.
that was one where things were happening before everyone had figured out the rules.
Right. It was
No
more
idea.
just like a, "Oh, okay, got it."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think they specifically said. I don't think they gave us the dungeon break information that first episode because, yeah, this one, it's like, okay, that's why we can't just leave it there and hope.
Yeah.
Like, oh, there's a
Because
time
imagine
limit.
that thing coming out and walking around.
Oh my God.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, Attack on Titan shit.
Yeah.
Again, just, yep, nope, bad. So again, once everyone gets out of there, it's going to collapse. So
Yep.
even if you did want to try to do this, to try to
Gonna be
unlock this
gone.
other side quest, you
Oh,
can't.
but then does this mean there's other weird side quests for other special abilities?
There might be.
Yeah.
This might unlock again, or a similar one might unlock in another similar low level dungeon, which
Mhm.
again makes me wonder if you're going to start having stronger parties trying to clear low level
Mm,
dungeons and
to
unlock
find
it,
them. Yeah.
which again, do the doors even appear if you're above a certain
Mm.
level? What
That's good
are
questions.
again, I've been watching Shangri-La Frontier and it's a lot of game design stuff. What's the trigger for this? What are
Yeah.
the trigger conditions for this sort of thing? And again, the highest rank they had with them was their B level healer.
Mhm.
So I think B or below in a dungeon where you're going to get straight up murdered if you don't follow the rules. Like, and
You
thank
know,
God they
you
had
know,
someone there
mix.
who could read the script.
Yeah.
Like, wow.
That's true. We didn't really cover like what language it was in, that who was able to read it, and
I think it was our leader.
okay.
I think it was, I am so bad. It was either Mr. Park or Mr. Song.
I think Park
I
sounds
need the,
right.
I need the names
Wait,
on a sticky
the
note is what I
leader?
need. Yeah.
Yeah, because
That
I guess
are,
he relayed the message. Oh, because then our hero
yeah.
asked him, he's like, "What did it say again?" So,
Yeah. I
yeah.
think in the first episode, he was the one reading it
Okay. Yeah,
initially.
yeah.
So, and I mean,
Uh,
it makes sense. You want your leader to be able to, you don't want him
yeah.
just to be able to fight. You want them to have multiple skills.
Uh,
So, I think the arm injury is a career ender, though.
yeah, just a little bit.
Yeah.
Did you was there anything else on the episode that we didn't get to cover?
I think that's all of it.
Okay. Yeah,
It's,
I think that was it
yeah.
for We did a nice chunk of it. So if you have other thoughts on different stuff that happened in these first 2 episodes, leave a comment and let us know. So now we'll go to the chaser
Yeah,
and something a little more tasty and mellow.
man.
Uh, big shift, but another one of those people going into a space where there are some dangerous things. So now we're talking Delicious in Dungeon. If you're not up to date on that, this will be up while we're covering it.
Yep.
Uh, I
And again, please no manga spoilers. This episode was very much 2 chapters of the manga
yeah,
adapted in the same episode. And again, nothing wrong with that. It was just you could
yeah.
kind of tell.
What is their name? And now I'm like, fine, I'm gonna grab the name. I'm like, what is their name?
It's
Uh,
Marcel and Laios and Chilchuk and Senshi.
okay,
Those I remember. I
Okay,
listened to Critical Role for
I
how long? Of course I remember the fantasy type
I
names.
am liking it. However, I want Marcel's I don't like this food or she's not intelligent trope to end soon. We've had our first beat. This is our second beat. It needs to be ending by the third beat because we can't go on forever that she's like, oh my gosh, this food is so like ew. And when she's been repeatedly shown it's delicious, I understand if it looks weird because those mandrake head faces. Yes, that's a little weird. Most people, even if they eat meat, don't want to see the face. I get it.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
just the like over dramatic, like, ah, I'm getting like, and also because she's the only girl, so I don't like that too. That
that's
she's just
fair.
so. Why? I mean, if any of the characters were like this, it would be annoying. But it's even more annoying that we placed it on her, and she's good at what she does. So I really don't like this like lack of self confidence. She doesn't need to be an amazing person right away. No, no, we're not saying that. But it's see, we need to build that confidence up, which we get a little bit in this episode. We get people expressing something, so they're like, "I did this because I felt this way," and you're like, "Yay, communication!"
Yeah.
Like it does wonders. So I'm really hoping by the third episode, by the fourth episode, we move away from these tropes because they get old really fast.
So I'm coming down on the opposite side of that
Okay.
for partially for Watsonian and partially for Doylist reasons. Um, for them, it's been a day and a half since this started. So it's been 2 episodes for us. It's been a day and a half for these characters. And a day and a half is not long enough to get used to the idea of these are monsters. Maybe we use them in potions. Maybe we do this, but we don't eat them. In much the same way that psychologically, when you know what escargot or calamari, or if you know that
You
there
had it
is
once
pigs.
and you go, it's fine.
See, here's the thing. Sometimes the brain cannot get past the fact of, no, I can't eat that. Like, I mean, roasted crickets. I never would. The brain cannot get past the fact that that is roasted crickets. So,
I've had the escargot and then you're like, it just tastes like butter because it's pretty much what stuff you put on it.
oh,
Yes,
I've
it's fair on its
had
limited
escargot at a French
time.
restaurant. I mean, that's the best place to have escargot,
Right.
and it was frankly great. But I
But
was one of the
we
only
need it
people in my
chipped
class to
down.
try it.
We need to chip it down a little bit because this
Oh,
guy
yeah.
has proven his cooking many times. It's not
Here's
like
the thing.
one meal,
Senshi's a stranger and a weirdo. Like,
but an
this
amazing cook.
is
So,
oh, yeah, absolutely,
yeah.
but also a stranger and a weirdo. So, again, for someone who was very, very accustomed to, "This is our party, this is how we do things," was obviously taught in a school, did a lot of studying in presumably one place, she strikes me as someone who is accustomed to a lot of routine, to a lot of, "This is how we do this is how
Yes.
I was taught, this is," that sort of thing.
She's the book
All
smart,
of
but not street smart.
yeah, all of that has been extremely upended. Again, in less than 48 hours.
Mhm.
And they are at a severe disadvantage trying to go back in and save this person before she gets completely digested. Like, yeah, everything is a little hecked up right now. And now her only source of food is these things that she spent this time killing, these things that she's probably been taught. Like, oh, they're monsters. Oh, they're terrible. Their only use is this. So, this is a huge, huge mind shift for her, especially if she is like, this is the routine, this is what we do. And in terms of the mandrakes, like the story went out of its way to go, no, she's got a point. Like the one that she pulled using the method she was taught was higher quality.
I thought that was
And
cool. That was nice.
and the fact that that's how she was taught in school, where they're using mandrakes for potion ingredients, like you
Mhm.
don't want to bring a subpar mandrake in for your
Mhm.
potion, especially if it's a very picky or delicate balance. So she couldn't explain why she was taught that way, and there is very much a difference, an issue, especially in academia, with here's why you're taught that, here's how you're taught this. Okay, well, what's the logic behind it? Doesn't matter, just learn it. Like
Yep.
there can be problems with we do it this way, this is the way I was taught. Okay, why is that the method? No idea. This is just how I was taught, so it's the right way.
Yeah.
So yeah, I understand wanting to go the quick and easy method that Senshi figured out, but in terms of quality, like, yeah, there is a reason for that. And then, oh, why can't we just use a long rope? Oh, I'm sure there's a reason in the book. She doesn't know it off the top of her head. She's looking it up, but like, yeah, there's a reason that we don't do that either. And just watching what we did, I feel like it's because the rope would pull the head right off and then you'd wind up with the same
Yeah.
issue. So, frankly, I relate in terms of, oh, this is what I was taught, so I'm sticking with it, in terms of this is
That
a lot of
part's fine.
change and I
That's
am not
definitely not the
adjusting
problem.
well.
It
Yeah. I
We'll
definitely
see as
understand
a
what you're
viewer.
saying, especially those specific tropes to throw on our only female character at this
Yep.
point. Like, no, I absolutely get it. I'm also very much leaning on the like in character. I'm sure it's going to continue to be a running gag. I'm also, judging from the
Ha,
openings,
ha.
fairly certain that yeah, exactly. Fairly certain that we are going to get so many more characters very soon. And
Yeah.
it's no longer going to be on Marcille to be the only woman in the party. Like it looks like we're going to have some variety going in, and I'm I'm here for that.
I'm excited for more variety because I'm good with our party, but it is that like idea of story beats. Like the first time of things happening, you're like, all right, cool. Second time, you're like, so by this third beat, by the third episode, we're gonna need some things to change. Otherwise, it's gonna feel like. But
We'll see.
it is fair that the time has not passed much at all. But we'll see. And I like that
Yeah.
they had this step of communication and they're seeing a bit more eye to eye, which is really great. Because definitely it was Senshi and where is our what's the
Chilchuck.
yes. Okay, I like I found
Yeah.
the thing on pictures and the picture is just their legs. And I'm like, why? The other people
Appreciate
have
it.
their faces in their picture.
Yeah,
Um,
this
but
episode has just been
them
Senshi is not always right.
that was so funny though. I like those 2 butting heads of like that's an example of people think differently and you just need to figure out how to work together. So there's fire. We can use the fire, right?
So for this one, I feel like
Ah,
anyone who's played Dungeons and Dragons more than once has felt this in their soul, where
mm,
there is just one member of the party. Everyone's trying to achieve a goal, and whether it's the player out of character just wanting to cause chaos and being that asshole, or whether it's no, it is in character for my guy to do this thing, there's just always that one person who's fucking it up for everybody else, and it makes you crazy. We actually have this in one of my current groups, is that, oh yeah, no, the player is just a delight to play with. His character's an unholy nightmare. Like, so I feel this in my soul, and I spent this episode going, I know that the story is trying to frame it as they both have something to learn from each other, but guys, Chilchuck is right. Just full stop. He's right. Because you never know when you set off a trap if it could kill someone else. Your responsibility is not to your curiosity. Your responsibility is to the well being of the party. And right now, the well being of the party is you listen to the expert. So that's like, nah, man, I'm on his side 100%. I get it. Just I did appreciate the creative use of the traps. I did appreciate Senshi going back and going, oh, this is oil, we can use it. Oh, we can do this with the cooking flame. Oh, we can, like, being able to use his surroundings and think sideways and think to his advantage. But it just, Chilchuck is right. He just is. You're on mute.
Thank you.
For those of you marking off your nighttime at the Nerd Bar bingo cards,
Yes.
you're on mute.
I had my co-star Fizz barking at something, so I was like, let me just put it on mute for now.
Ah.
I was gonna say, I definitely Chilchuck was right, but Senshi I love so much, and there were so many things that I related to of cooking and maintenance and things, and the like thinking differently than other people, and people going, what?
Yeah.
So, but in following through traps, once you get through the first part of it, he made a good point of like, well, we can still utilize it, right? So
Yeah.
I appreciate that humor. And then we got how do you say it? Laos?
Laios.
Laos.
Laios.
I like him being our kind of golden retriever, white bread, basic guy leader. But then him
With
pointing
weird
out
dreams.
yes. But him pointing out too, everybody has their own strengths. It's them working together, which is being like, okay, we got good leader. I like the basilisk, right? The basilisk fight.
Yes.
That was
Yeah.
pretty awesome. Also, yeah, is it a snake with a chicken body or a chicken with a snake tail?
Yeah,
Thought that was
it's a
interesting.
snake evidently, and the entire chicken part is the tail. I'm like,
Yeah.
this is messed up. I
Sure.
love it.
Yes.
And honestly,
The
when
eggs
he's
were
like,
weird.
"Oh, it's this, it's part chicken, it's part snake," and I'm sitting here going, "Cockatrice, cockatrice," and he goes, "Basilisk," and I'm like, "Damn it!" And then he mentions cockatrices, like, "Oh, I feel better. I'm validated."
Yeah, I like all that use. Oh, I thought it was weird that they helped those other people and the other people didn't just join their group. I was like, why don't
That's
they?
not how it works. And also,
Uh,
that's not for what that's not always how it works in terms
why
of
isn't
like
that
merging
how?
parties.
Okay.
But also, if you look back at the breakfast scene when they're all sitting around the fire,
Mm-hmm.
there's like 5 or 6 of them. Those guys are the only 2 left standing. They need to get the corpses of their other party members back to the surface to get them revived. It's
Fair.
Death is not permanent in this world. It's massively inconvenient. The stakes
Mm,
we have here are not that Laios' sister is dead. It's that her body has to be recovered within a certain amount of time in order to
yeah.
bring her back. So, yeah, death is inconvenient more than anything else. It's permanent in
Okay.
certain circumstances.
Because it just seemed like, why didn't they join? Oh, this might be a bit after the fact, but Gigaderic said like Digimon, but I'm not sure where that was.
For
Sorry.
which one?
I was like, wait, like,
Just what? Huh?
uh,
Sorry, I
yeah, sorry, I just saw that comment now. So, oh, let's see.
cockatrice.
Oh,
Yeah. Fair enough.
yeah. So, but I'm enjoying the show more now. Because I mean, the first episode was fine, but I felt like this kind of was moving things along. It's like, oh, this is
Yeah.
very delightful and it's very like light, and this is definitely our chaser to the completely different
Just
vibe of Solo Leveling. So yeah, they go
yeah.
well together of being very different from each other. So you don't feel like, oh, it's the same show, you know.
No,
So that's nice. Have
it's
it
people
very
going
different.
into dungeons to kill monsters, but oh boy.
And again, the
Oh
title
boy.
should be Dungeon Cooking, Dungeon Food, Decision Dungeon. I still no, it's not.
I I
That title
I
doesn't work enough. Per a literal
again,
translation, and to get your attention, Dungeon Cooking, Dungeon Food would be far more like, what? Tell me
again,
more.
and I've been hearing dungeon meshy for so long, like
Yeah.
most people are not afraid of a
No,
few
but if we're
words
getting
borrowed from other languages or a few
new
just
people in, like we're talking about new people who've never heard any of it, like what they'd be like,
yeah,
eh, you know.
yeah. But
But
there are
the
people
delicious in
who
dungeon, they could still be, what's that?
yeah. I mean, there are people who, not necessarily for anime, but also from all sorts of different, like, there are people who are perfectly fine going, oh, the title is this, and rattle off a title in Greek or Arabic or French, or, they don't speak the language, but they know the title of the thing. So I understand the urge to translate it, especially on Netflix when you have an audience that is accustomed to a wide variety of things and it's not an anime only platform like Crunchyroll or
Yeah.
High Dive, like I understand the marketing decision, as it were. I understand the maybe this is a higher level edict that every show has to use an English translation for the title and it's not just anime and it's not a case by case basis, it's a thing. I don't know. Netflix does not like to reveal how they make their decisions. So, you know, um, I don't agree with it. I do think Dungeon Meshi as a title has legs and that people have been into this manga for years.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I knew about it. That's how I knew to look forward to the Delicious in Dungeon. Oh, it's that Dungeon Meshi thing. Yeah. And now it's been glorious. So, again, I Netflix makes their own decisions. This is not one that I agree with. I'm still calling it Dungeon Meshi. We're calling it Delicious in Dungeon here because that is the official translated Netflix title. It's messy. It's messy. But it's still the
I like
same
their
show and it's
cooking.
still pretty damn good. Oh no,
Yes,
their cooking is great. My cooking is
that's true.
messy as hell.
Yes, they're pretty clean and they got it self-contained. I
Yeah,
think that
yeah.
kind of covers. Was there anything else in the episode that stood out? I mean, we.
Yeah, yeah, part of Zenji being weird, like, hey, you have an antidote. Yeah, but it's better if we cook it into something. Can we not just give him the slow roasting a chicken that big? Hours and hours and hours and hours and hours. Like, that man should have died.
Yeah.
So it's that sort of thing where I think
Yeah.
Senshi is so accustomed to working on his own, he does
Mm-hmm.
not know. He doesn't seem to know how to deal with a party. He doesn't seem to know
No.
how to mitigate what he wants and what
Mm,
his instincts are and what his decisions are to work best with other people in terms of getting along, in terms of doing what's best for everyone. He's so used to just doing his own thing that it's causing actual problems for the people around him. From our poor, poisoned, C tier character to Chilchuck, who is trying to keep everyone alive and nearly got perforated
yep.
because Senshi was just screwing around. Like, yeah, for someone who's been in the dungeon this long and truly gets how to cook with everything in it, he does not get people, or does not get people very well, or does not get how
Not.
to work with people
Yeah. Not much.
very
Yeah.
well. So this is just as much us seeing the flaws in Senshi. Because episode 1, he showed up like an angel. Oh yeah, this is how you cook things. This is how you do things. Yeah, let's totally travel together. Yeah, I know my stuff. And then this episode is just like, bro, you gotta stop. Please, an ounce of chill, a Susan of listening to other people. Come on.
Yeah.
Yeah. So again, I appreciate that for all the characters. Nobody's
Yeah.
one note. Nobody is just a single trope.
Yeah.
I appreciate that we're running with heat proof or heat resistant dwarves. I like
Yeah.
that. That's fun. But yeah, it's fairly balanced for all the characters. It's not just
Yeah.
a comedy, it's people. And I like that.
Yes.
Yes.
There we go. Get to our stuff you should check out now section. This I was trying to grab my little planner. I'm like, what did I watch?
Yeah.
So this is the section of we have recommendations of things we've been watching, reading, all those different things that we want to let you all know about. Uh, I can't remember if I talked about it before, but I started Pokemon Concierge, which is
Oh.
adorable. They're only like 15-minute episodes, so if you just want something while you're drinking your coffee in the morning or having breakfast or whatever, it is delightful.
Stop motion, yeah?
Stop motion.
Stop
The
motion.
style's adorable and just really cute and very whimsical, which you would hope for Pokemon. So yes, watch a couple episodes. It's just and there's some very relatable things to our main character. She's just that overachiever, but it's like, girl, you need to relax. That's technically part of your job now, and that just disconnecting and trying, like, someone goes, "This isn't quite right," and she's like, "Oh, no, I'll do a different spreadsheet for you," and I was like, I feel that
Girl.
of, like, "No, sweetie, we've all been there, but, like, it's
Oh, yeah.
okay." So it's just really kind of a delightful show. I was looking over the comments here too. Giga Derek did say, speaking of getting stuck in a dungeon against overwhelming odds, the old Berserk anime is getting a Blu-ray release. Oh, cool.
Dang.
Thank
The
y'all.
return of a classic.
Yes. And then we got John Knight says, I watched Sonic the Hedgehog 2 movie and Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. If you haven't seen both of them yet, you should check them out. Yes, both are really fun. We've definitely talked about Sonic movies on this show.
Oh, the one thing I regret not doing. The second time we went to go see Sonic 2 in theaters,
Mm-hmm.
as we do. This is that kind of household. We're definitely looking at Sonic 3 and going, give it. There is, of course, a post-credit scene in Sonic
Yes.
2. And, the first time we saw it, we lost our collective minds. And the second time we went to see it, there were a couple of girls about 3, 4 seats down. And at one point, we did need to lean over and go, could you take it down just a notch? Because they were being loud in the theater.
Oh,
But they were very enthusiastic and very into it. And, they weren't too put off by us telling them, just lower the volume a little. They were still having fun. My regret is not taking out my phone and getting an audio recording of their reaction to the post-credits scene. Just, oh. And if you've been into Sonic stuff for a while and you watch the post-credit scene of Sonic 2 the movie, you know what I'm talking about. It's gonna be fun.
Then where'd it go? Oh, there we go. I was like, no, I watched something else. I watched Echo. Awesome show.
Yeah?
If you've not watched it yet,
Nice.
it was so fun. Action's fantastic. The focus, because I mean it's our main character, on sign language is really cool. They do a lot of really interesting things in it with that. The focus on Native Americans, Indigenous culture is great too, and I really like that we get to see that as a show because that's definitely not enough of those out there. And then like having those two things together, it has a lot of heart and humor, and they do have a warning on it that it does have some graphic violence. So heads up. I mean, I feel if you've been watching some of those, like it's like Daredevil and some of the other ones that it is
More in
more.
line with the Netflix shows than with the
Yeah.
Disney Plus originals.
Yes. So
Yeah.
it's a bit
Yeah.
heavy in that. But I mean, obviously, if you're watching Solo Leveling, but then again, animated to live action, different.
Yeah, it
But
hits different.
yes, it is short. It's only like 6 episodes, so it goes by pretty fast. 6 or 5. 6 or 5.
I think it's
Um,
5.
so what's 6 or 5? 5. And so it goes by fast. It's a really good, cool watch. So if you haven't seen that one yet, you could watch it without having watching some of the adjacently related shows because they kind of fill you in on some stuff, and just watch the previously on, because sometimes those kind of fill in extra things in
Yeah.
case you're not up to date with they had the Hawkeye show is connected, Daredevil's connected. So if you're not that up to date, you could.
Presumably anything that Wilson Fisk has been in
Yeah,
is
pretty much.
connected. And
So if
it's,
you were just
again,
a little.
going back to Daredevil, there was the one scene with the car door. So, yeah. Presumably we're looking more at Daredevil levels of violence and depiction than Hawkeye levels of violence depiction.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's
So,
a
TVMA,
yeah.
as it were.
Yes. But I appreciate they have that warning level on it, and so
Yeah.
that one was great. And then the other one that I just started, them getting halfway-ish, I guess. Gilded Age, it's on HBO, so that's more the early. I think we're around 1800 something. I forget what. Oh, I think it's like 1863 New York City, as that's kind of coming up. So if you kind of like Downton Abbey, here's the New York, like what it was like here in the United States, which is pretty interesting. I saw some people commenting that they were a little more excited for season 2 because we get a little bit more into Brooklyn. So I'm looking forward to seeing more of that as well. But so far, it's pretty interesting. If you like, historical period piece shows, it's pretty solid, and there's some fun ties to today because there's companies like JP Morgan or things like that are mentioned because they did exist at some of those times. You're like, interesting. Or it's the beginning of the Red Cross. Stuff like that is kind of, I think, a little more relatable than Downton Abbey is, though I do love that show. So if
Well,
you
I'd
like
say
that kind of flavor.
maybe more relatable to an American audience.
Yes.
I feel like Downton Abbey might be more relatable to an audience who has
Across the
more
pond,
roots
yes,
in that
exactly.
history than you know.
I assume most actually, we've done this before, but if you want to comment, where are you watching us from? I feel we're predominantly American based, but
I think
yes,
so, but
welcome near and far. So
yes.
and
Yes.
also looking over again, Gig Derek said, "Banished from the Heroes Party season 2 has started."
Oh my god. It got a season 2?
I guess so.
Huh. My watch list hasn't said a damn thing about it.
You're like, gosh
Uh,
darn it. Yeah.
a little bit. It's for those of you going, the hell? I was watching Banished from the Heroes Party last year when I think it was last year when it dropped its first season, and it's one of those shows that started off very strong and got really lost by the end of the first season. For me, it kind of went out with a whimper, had a lot of implications as to its world building, had a lot of, hey, there's something here. And it was really interesting for a while. And then towards the end, it was just like, why did we make these decisions with
Mm,
this story? So
mm.
I kind of thought that's where it was going to stay. But I guess there's season two, and I don't know how I feel about it. I don't know if I'm going to go back to it. I'm sorry, Shangri-La Frontier is just too good.
I think I started Banished from the Heroes part. Yeah, I think I did. I only
Did
got a
you?
couple episodes in, and then I was like,
Yeah.
not my flavor. That's okay. It didn't grab me enough, so that's fine. What else have you been watching, reading, or games?
It grabbed me and then it dragged me into the swamp of disappointment. So
Ah, I'm glad
we'll
I
see
stayed
if
away.
we'll see if like it wasn't like,
Mm.
oh, I hated watching that. Oh, I regret ever seeing it. No. I have shows and movies and whatnot where it's like, oh, I regret ever having put this in my eyeballs. Like we've all got at least one, and that is not one of them. But
Yeah.
yeah, so I guess I gotta make some decisions. Yeah, I mentioned this earlier. Super Mario RPG, which I believe originally dropped in like the 90s, got a remake a few months ago, has been out on Switch, is a lot of fun, honestly. It's very, very cute. It's honestly adorable. The scripting is hysterical, honestly. Really great character design. Like, yeah, Mario, Bowser, character design. No, they have all sorts of other. I hesitate to call it original character do not steal, but they do a lot with the existing characters that we have in Mario lore, Peach, Yoshi, etc.
Okay.
And then they bring in Mallow and they bring in Geno and they bring in all sorts of villains we haven't seen before, all sorts of monsters. Everyone's got different roles. Like it is very much a Final Fantasy style RPG. And if you're sitting here going, I'm so bad at those though, it's definitely geared towards a younger audience in the way that most, if not all, Mario games are all ages, so anyone can really pick them up. And this is no exception. So if you like RPGs, if you're not the best at them, I think you can pick up Super Mario RPG. It's fairly straightforward. It's very fun, very easy to learn mechanics. And yeah, it's honestly adorable, has excellent music and is a very good time. Like, I think if it's not a Square co production, then it has a lot of names that you would be familiar with working on it in terms of the music, in terms of the design, in terms of the gameplay. Like
Yeah.
it's a good time. And also it's turn-based. For those of you who
Okay.
miss turn-based RPGs, it is turn-based and
Mm.
it's a good time. So, yeah, and it does have one of those hidden Final Fantasy style, no, this is extremely difficult, best of luck bosses hiding in a corner somewhere. But you do have to work to unlock them. So, it's not something you're going to stumble into, and it's not something you have to do to finish the game.
All
But
right.
yeah, Super Mario RPG, the remake on the Switch, it's a good time. It's very cute.
Sweet. Let us know some of the books, movies you're watching, games you're playing. Let us know. Leave comments.
Yeah.
Uh, where to go? Yes, and be sure to follow us over on NTATMB on Twitter and here on Fanversation. Make sure to give a video a thumbs up. Subscribe. Fanversation. We're also on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, all the things. Follow along. Lots of interviews here on the YouTube channel as well as those other places. And Katie, where can people find you online?
You can follow me all over the social medias as well as on YouTube and Twitch at Kiaxet. That is Kiaxet. I am also a co host on a horror channel called Silver Screams on YouTube. So check that out as well. We have a good time.
All right. And y'all can find me online at Carrie D Lane. That's KARIDLANE. Yeah, across all the social web, same channel. I just posted some fun ones from recent travels and other reviews. So a lot of those go to TikTok first, and then they kind of end up on Instagram. So if you don't have TikTok, it's cool. So we're on Instagram eventually. And then on Twitter, it's the same across all the platforms. So it's nice and easy. So looking over.
Branding.
Yay. I know, right? I'm like, oh, I got so lucky. Kept that easy. So thank you so much for tuning in to Nighttime at the Nerd Bar, episode 99. Stick around for 100 next week. Come back. We are going to have some special guests. We're still locking in who's going to be there, so we're going to keep it a secret. Because also, you got to just come back to see who's going to be there, Like,
It will
yes.
be special guests, special format.
Yes.
And I don't know, do we want to tell them what the format is in terms of how our usuals are going to go for next week, or should it all just be a surprise?
I think it should be a surprise because we're
Okay.
still locking people in, and we'll say people because there's going to be more than one person showing
People.
up. That's the special people,
People.
and maybe they've been on the show before. So
So keep an eye out.
yes,
Come back next week.
Yep.
And yes, we'll talk to you then.
Yes, and thank you all for joining us live and in the
Yeah.
live chat. If you're watching later, awesome. Leave comments down below on the different things we talked about, and we'll see you all next week. Bye.
Bye.